Welcome back to Woodward Nights. Hold on, there we go. Welcome back to Woodward Nights. My name is Booner. We've got Broder, as always. We've got Parker Meadows in the booth, and we've got Nick here. And we have, really it's our second guest, our first guest virtually, the one, the only, Hollywood, Juicy J, Jeff I am afraid he's joining us. Oh, no. That was all Parker.
Yeah, you son of a bitch, Parker.
Hands off. Hey, whoa, Jeff, this is a family show. Whoa.
This is prime time.
I'm just kidding. No,
it is Woodward. Night. It's Woodward Nights. What are we doing?
It's a late night show, baby.
Jeff, this is where anything goes. Jeff, thanks so much for
by
joining
the way,
us. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to say, just shout out to the boys, man. You guys are crushing. So I want to say that, man. Keep going. I'm proud of you guys, man. It's awesome. I love watching you guys. Seriously.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff. We appreciate you. We've been watching this man on the morning show just absolutely catapult his career into what we joke about, the Hollywood Hills. The man is a stud, and he knows his ball. He knows his sports, and he's a future star. He's a current star.
If we're being honest, too, I wouldn't have the show if it wasn't for Jeff. Every time Jeff just kept saying, "Booner, come do the pregame last year, the Lions. Come do the college football. You and Maz." Now you kept doing that. You kept inviting. You let me be on the morning Woodward show. Now,
this is it.
We made it, baby.
Yeah, we did make it. I'm proud of you, man. And also, I don't want to say I made anybody. I mean, you guys are talented, man. I just love helping others. Hey, there's enough food on the plate for everybody to eat. All right, that's just, it is what it is.
Man, you know, your nickname is Hollywood. You literally sound like Vinny from Entourage, man.
Dude, I'll be Turtle.
He keeps making these Vinny references, and I by the way, never seen Entourage. You can make fun of me.
Greatest show of all time.
But now I want to watch it. Now you got me pissed off. You keep making these references I don't understand.
Jeff, I think you would like it. And just a little background. Vinny Chase is the star of the show. He's the Hollywood superstar in movies. I want to ask you, if there's a star in this game, if there's a matchup you want to highlight, or one player, like I said, a star, is there anyone that you're focusing in on this Sunday, Seattle versus Detroit?
I think the easy one for me would be Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, you got both tackles out. That's your franchise defensive end. You drafted this dude to second overall, and last week he showed out. I mean, last really two games, you think about it, two primetime games, Aiden was the one affecting the game, for the majority of it. So it's big time for him. I know Booner, he's high on Aiden Hutchinson. He said this man could contend for Defensive Player of the Year, and I don't think he's crazy. I think this is the type of game for not even just Aiden, but the rest of this defensive line to capitalize. I mean, you got a hindered Seattle offensive line. They're going to want to run the ball, and I'll get into some of the matchup stuff later, but regardless, man, especially if you go up early and you force Geno into a lot of passing downs, it's time for Aiden, man. I can foresee a 2, maybe even 3 sack game out of this dude. I really do.
I mean, TJ Watches did that, and if he needs to compete for Defensive Player of the Year, he has to go out and do the same thing.
There you go.
I think I'm with you, Jeff. I said yesterday on the show, I think the Detroit Lions, I might have actually said it in a chat, I think the Detroit Lions get 5 sacks on Sunday at least, especially with those the offensive linemen out in Seattle. There's no reason, and these guys got 0 sacks last week. Last year they played the Seahawks, 0 sacks. This defensive line is hungry. Hutch, 2 or 3 sacks. Kaminsky,
yeah, I mean, Booner. You think about it. Last week, Jawan Taylor essentially cheating. I don't know what the hell that was. He still tied his career high in pressures. Guys, think about that. Healthy Chiefs offensive line. He tied his career high in pressures. Now you got a hindered Seattle offensive line that last week defensively, at least for the Rams, they got to Geno. They sacked him 2 times. Don't tell me this line's defensive line. What I've been sold is pretty damn good young defensive line. I think they'll get not just Aiden too. I think Houston will be involved as well. That guy's just a menace. And then on top of that, hopefully Liam McNeil creates pressure from the inside, because if he does that, man, it's over for Geno. It really is. Now,
Jeff, I'm going to throw you a little oop here for a question.
Okay.
We were on the Morning Woodward show a couple times about a month ago. We had talks in the back here, and me and you had a conversation about the Detroit Lions ceiling. I'm setting you up for an oop here. I'm setting you up to Jeff. I've never set you up to fail. Never. We set each other up to succeed here. You told me a month ago that the Detroit Lions ceiling was to just win 1 playoff game. That was their ceiling. After week 1, has that ceiling moved for you? Have you moved the ceiling up from 10 feet to 15? Have we moved that up?
Okay. Couple things here. Number one, I did have that conversation with you. I did. And I guess the way I answered the question was, all I needed to see and all I realistically thought this team could do would be win a playoff game and then, hope, in that divisional round.
Fair enough.
You're going to be facing, either the Eagles or the 49ers. But actually, Booner, and this is where I'm going to give you credit, I watched – the 49ers are the only team right now that I'm terrified of, like in the NFC. Is that fair? Like the Eagles have not shown us that team from last year. And then the Dallas Cowboys are going to Dallas Cowboys. So I'm not really worried about them. The Lions – I'll say this. I'm a lot more confident in their chances to go on a deep playoff run before week 1 than I am now. Or I am now as I was before week 1. I will say that.
I love to hear that. Because me and Jeff were going at it in the back, and D-Mac even walked. Shout out D-Mac. He walked up, and me and D-Mac were trying to explain to Jeff the ceiling. And I think now I love the way it worked out, though. It's good for us because the Detroit Lions went and won on the road, and that kind of showed in other teams. It showed. Like, it worked out week 1 in our favor, all of us.
Jeff, has that ceiling or that confidence in the Lions being able to make a run deeper into the playoffs, does any of your feelings about that tie into the streak that Jared Goff is on? He's on a historic interceptionless streak. I believe it's 359 attempts without an interception. Whether that's the reason or not, is Jared Goff one of those pieces that can take him deep, or are there other aspects of their offense that has improved enough to continue that run?
I think Jared's, and as much as people want to talk about salary and what he should be getting paid, Broder, and I know you're high on Jared Goff, and I think rightfully so. Yeah, you can win with him. You can win playoff games with him. And this is a city that's starving for just that. So you look at the NFC, you look how it shapes up. Right now, quarterback play, isn't at an all-time high in the NFC. Like, Jared Goff might be good enough to get you to a Super Bowl. My only concern is, I guess a question would be more fair to say, in the AFC, who you'd be going against, right? Yeah. You could go against the Mahomes once again, right? And I know they beat them, right? That's fair, but you got to give context. No Chris Jones or Travis Kelce. I'm just throwing that out there. You beat them, but in the postseason, those guys will be back. And then you got, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Like, these teams are probably more my concern for Jared Goff. Like, okay, now you're on the biggest stage. Last time he was there, everybody remembers he scored 3 points, but that was years ago. I think Jared Goff, people like to put a ceiling on this man at 28 years old. Yeah. There's a lot of room for him to grow. I think that, him saying, well, this guy can never win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to say that. I'm not. I'm curious, though, how the Lions, I know offensively they could score a lot of points, but to your point, Broder, about the interception streak, that's been a big part of this offense, right? Being efficient, not turning the ball over. Of course, the interception streak has guys making plays, the offensive line protecting for him. You got DBs and linebackers dropping balls as well. Like, there's a lot that goes into that, interception streak. But listen, good coaching. If you have good coaching, you have the offensive line they have. You have the defensive line that we think they have, and as of right now, I'm confident they do have. They have the secondary. That was a big question last year. I think weapon-wise, maybe you have some questions, but you're relying on 2 rookies. But regardless, we know this offense and what it can be. Now, if defensively they're a top 15, top 10 team, Broder, as long as Jared just plays clean football and doesn't turn the ball over and keeps up what he's been doing, they're a dangerous team come the postseason, because I'll tell you what, that offensive line travels. It does.
Yes.
You saw what the Eagles did to the Vikings, man. They pushed those dudes around. Don't tell me the Lions can't do something like that. The Eagles are a team I watch out for, because 49ers, Eagles, hell offensive lines, man. Those teams have offensive lines. But the rest of the NFC, I'm confident in the Lions.
It's those 3 teams. 49ers, Eagles, and Lions right now. That's where I'm putting it. And I'm with you on that, Jeff, too, because we've talked about it a lot the last few months, that Jared Goff, just be solid. If you're solid, and like Jeff said, he was solid last year, and he even wasn't that great to start the year. He was average, a little closer to the second half of the year. But they had a top 5 offense, and he was solid. This year, you just put out a top 15 defense, and you're a contender. When I was on the morning show, I went over the list of the 3 teams last year. There was only, I think, 3 teams that were top 15 in both offense and defense. And those were, the Eagles, Chiefs, and the Bengals or something like that. I could be wrong.
Would love to be in that company.
Yes, and I remember there's only 3 teams, so that's a great point. Jeff, I want to ask you too. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. If you had to on this, and I don't want to look at this as a negative, but more so like a positive. What can the Lions kind of improve on? What is one part of this Lions team going into, I guess, after week 1 that you saw, like a critique of this Lions team? Where it's like a position group or just a part of this team right now that needs to get better and kind of can improve?
So, it's hard because you saw flashes on week 1, and again, you got another 5 weeks until JMO even is able to come back. But I'm still looking at the wide receivers. I know I saw one game out of Josh Reynolds, but I know Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to show up every week. I don't have to count. I don't have to question that. Yeah. Now, Khalif Raymond didn't have the debut we kind of expected out of Khalif. And I know the offense was kind of all over the place, so I don't want to hold everybody to the fire in week 1. But I still have questions about that wide receiver core, Booner. I do. I'm sorry. The rest of the offense, though, offensive line, running backs, even tight ends, I like the tight ends they got. But in terms of wide receivers, there's still a lot of question marks, especially if a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down. I mean, defensively, they have 4 starting linebackers. Love the defensive line. The secondary looks great. Like, I don't have too many question marks. Maybe you like to see the communication. We'll see how that improves as weeks go by with the secondary. But if I had something I'm keying in on and I'm watching, it's that wide receiver core. It hasn't really changed much for me. One game doesn't do it.
I think that's fair. That's a fair kind of criticism because your 3, 4, 5 is, you could say you could definitely go out and get a Mike Evans or someone to improve that. So that is fair. Now, Jeff, before we let you go and go to break here, I know we're going to be on the Lions pregame show on Sunday, and you, I'm sure you already did a prediction on the morning show this morning. Yep. Can we get we're not going to say ours because we're going to do it at the end of the show. Can we get your prediction if you have like a one stat or a touchdown score, and as well, you see that? That's Parker, not me. And then your final score prediction.
Broder, I want to say this too, man. The guy's a professional. I tried to break him this morning, and he didn't give me it. He didn't give me the prediction. And I just want to say that's a professional right there. You got a professional next to you.
We did have the contract that you had to say Woodward Knights 8 to 10 times.
Did I do it?
Did it, but to follow up, you did come on the show tonight, so the contract voided.
He said he dropped it a lot.
He did. You did drop it randomly too.
Before you give your prediction, I gotta say your hair just looks fantastic tonight.
It does. This morning, 7.4 out of 10. Tonight, it's a 9.5, man.
You know what? I appreciate you, Broder. Booner, that's an honest review. I can't fault you for it. I was on my game this morning.
You want to do mine?
Yeah, I got to get a ski mask. You told me you'd get me a ski mask.
I have one for you. I have
one
do? Here, and then I have one in my backpack for you. I told you I'll bring it Sunday, pregame.
All right, let's go. All right, game prediction. I'm going 31-17 Lions win here. I got it decisively. I think this offense, we know how they look at home. It's a very different offense at home. It just is. They score a ton of points at home. I think they do just that. You got a Seattle team, and you go back to last week, man, and I said this on the morning show. If you can go up early on the Seahawks, they're going to abandon the run. That's your best scenario to win. And allow Aiden and those guys to just bull rush and get after Geno, because last week they ran the ball 9 times in the first half. They ran it 3 in the second half. 3 carries in the second half for Kenneth Walker. If you could force the Seahawks and go up early and get them sitting there going, okay, we got to make some plays here, you already won the game. So that's how I think the Lions, hopefully if they go up early, I like their chances. I just think overall that offensive line, the injuries they have to their offensive line, they're not going to be able to overcome it. I think this defensive line, although they don't have Pascal, that's my guy. I was excited to see him in week 2. Regardless, I think they're going to generate pressure. They're going to make Geno uncomfortable. And this is a very different secondary than last year when DK went off against Jeff Okudah there. So I think they're going to be able to kind of contain those guys. So give me the Lions, 31-17.
Awesome.
Love that.
Awesome, Jeff. Love to hear it. Thank you so much for joining our show. We'll keep plugging you on the Morning Woodward Show every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m.